in her purple-flowered bathrobe, and she had just lit a cigar in the usual way by snapping a match out of thin air. A long, leisurely trail of smoke drifted toward the open window. The lined curtains stirred in the night breeze, and moths and other night insects fluttered on the screen. "So what do you think it all means, Mrs. Zimmermann?" asked Rose Rita with a worried frown. "Is there a ghost loose in your house, or what?" Mrs. Zimmermann waited a long time before answering. "Not a ghost exactly," she said slowly, "but I do feel that someone is trying to contact me, and I think I know who that someone may be." Rose Rita tried again to reach an itchy spot under the cast. It was really driving her crazy tonight. "Who is it?" she asked. "I think it may be Granny Wetherbee. This feels like her kind of magic." Rose Rita looked puzzled. "Granny Wetherbee? Who's she?" Mrs. Zimmermann sighed. "Well, I don't mention her much, but she taught me most of what I know about magic. It's true that I have a Doctor of Magic Arts degree from the University of Göttingen in Germany, but that was just the frosting on the cake. The real magic that I know, I learned from Granny. She was the one who showed me how to find my own powers and how to use them. She was not my real grandmother, but an old woman I met when I was about your age. Of course, Granny Wetherbee is long dead, but for some reason she seems to need to contact me." "Why?" It seemed like a simplistic question to ask, but Rose Rita had learned that when magic was involved, sometimes the most obvious questions brought the most interesting answers, so she asked it anyway. "Why, indeed," muttered Mrs. Zimmermann. "Maybe she wants to restore my magic powers." Rose Rita made a wry face. "If only she could. Then you could do something about this itchy old cast." Mrs. Zimmermann gave Rose Rita a sympathetic smile. "I wish I could help, but as you very well know, my powers were just about wiped out in that battle I had with the evil spirit 18 months ago." Rose Rita began to shiver a little. She remembered that battle all right. Sometimes she still had nightmares about it. But she knew that even without her magic, Mrs. Zimmermann was probably the last person in the world to give in to despair or gloom. "Would you be happier if you could be a witch again?" Rose Rita asked. "I mean a real witch, and not just one who can pull lighted matches out of the air." Mrs. Zimmermann said thoughtfully, "Maybe so. Oh, when I lost most of my magic, I thought it wouldn't be so bad. For a while I even managed to convince myself that I was happy. But I have to admit that I haven't been very happy for nearly a whole year now." "But you do the things you always did. You play cards with Louis and his Uncle Jonathan and me, and you bake wonderful chocolate chip cookies, and you're one of my best friends." With a smile, Mrs. Zimmermann said, "I know. I really have no right to complain. But I just have the feeling that something is wrong somehow. Maybe my life would be better if I had those old powers back. Maybe I'd be more cheerful and optimistic. I had my magic for almost 50 years, which is most of my life. Now that it's gone, somehow I don't know how to live properly anymore. Anyway, if those lights and pictures really are from Granny, I'd like to know more about them." Rose Rita had a troubled look. Since she'd met Mrs. Zimmermann and Jonathan Barnevelt 2 years ago, she had seen lots of magic, and some of it was nasty and wicked. She traced patterns on the tabletop with her finger, and then finally she spoke. "I like you the way you are, Mrs. Zimmermann," she said suddenly. "And I don't think you should mess around with things that you don't understand. What if it isn't Granny Who's trying to get in contact with you? What if it's somebody evil? You've told me how hard it is sometimes to tell good magic from evil. You should be careful." Mrs. Zimmermann stared for a second, and then she laughed. "Good heavens, Rose Rita!" she exclaimed. "You always say what's on your mind, don't you? But don't you worry. I'm old enough to be your grandmother, and I've seen a lot of things in life that you haven't."